quick tangent here. We're going to pause so I can let you guys know that I will cut this if this is not funny.
But if it is funny, you have to leave that tangent in. Welcome to Drafted. I'm your host, Daniel Prentice, and as always, I am joined by my darling and dear friend and co-host, Preston Thompson. Preston, how are you doing this week?
Good. I'm so excited for tonight's show. It's now, because of the long hours I'm working, my absolute favorite part of the week. It feels like I'm reclaiming my own time whenever we do something like this. It's really great. And I'm, because of your complaints, I'm actually drinking a beer this time.
Yes! Finally!
I know. To shout out my brother who has moved to New Realm Brewing on the Beltline here in Atlanta, a Hoplandia IPA.
Wait a second.
I know. He's left...
Have you cut an under the table ad deal with him that you're not including me in? Is that what's happening right now?
It's still on the DL. We're still working out the details.
Okay.
All right. I'm not gonna lie though. I kind of prefer them to the last breweries he's worked at. So if you are listening to Realm, just know you're my favorite.
Let's get him to sponsor, man. God damn, I've been working on this for weeks, months.
I'll get there. All
right. Well, we are delighted to be joined by everyone's favorite guest of the show. Everyone's always telling me that she is the best person to come on. Katie Geer. Katie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here. I also listened to the last episodes and heard how much grief people were getting for drinking water. So even though I was not feeling ready to drink a beer, I do have a beer here. We went to the mountains this weekend,
Hell yeah.
like you do in the Northwest, and got a pale ale from Icicle Brewing Company based out of Leavenworth, Washington.
Oh, is it good?
So it's quite good. So kicking off my Sunday with first beer.
Hell yeah.
It feels okay, but it tastes delicious.
First, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, I am also doing the beer route. I have a Goose Island Next Coast IPA, which is quite good. I was streaming on Twitch earlier. You guys should all follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/dap_sauce. And I was drinking some gin and tonic, so I didn't want to get back to the the liquor train, after having already done it earlier in the day.
Aren't you not supposed to mix those things, though? Liquor before beer, you're in the clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beer before liquor, you're never sicker.
Never been sicker. Yep.
The one thing I learned in college right there. Well, it's March Madness again, or still, rather, as it was last week. I'm pretty sad about it. My basketball team just blew their conference championship game on Thursday.
Yeah, I watched that. That was not good.
Last night. Saturday night as of recording. It was really bad. They had 25 turnovers. It was insane. But the tournament starts this weekend. It'll start on Thursday after you guys get this pod on Tuesday. So that's very exciting. Yeah, Preston's repping his Bama. Katie, we know, is a big Blurs fan. Go Blurs. They're an 8 seed, I know. My Knolls are a 4 seed, so we're all excited.
It's a tough seed. It's a tough seed for us.
Yeah, you get the 1 seed second round, potentially.
I know very little about March Madness, very little about drafting or brackets. However, I was told that we did not want the seed that we were now in. No, it's okay. We're going to fight through.
You'd probably rather be a 10 than an 8. But it's okay. I mean, the Blur's magic, And it's perfect that Katie doesn't know anything about brackets, because that's, of course, what we're doing today. But I do think Katie knows a lot about what we are bracketing, and that is what, Preston?
We are bracketing Disney soundtracks. Oh my lord. I've been waiting for this episode forever. Last week we talked about how Daniel and I have a weird relationship over carpool karaoke's. One of those weird things we bonded over. I don't think anybody's going to be shocked to know we also have a relationship over Disney soundtracks. I don't remember what tournament it was we were at, but we were just driving along, listening. You remember this. And we put on You're Welcome from Moana, and Daniel hit every single word of that rap break. And it just took our relationship to a whole new level. And I was just standing there in awe.
Yeah, that was 2018 Southeast College Regionals.
That's what it was. Yep.
And we went
stayed
on
in that very strange Airbnb where the toilet was in the shower.
In the shower, yeah. It was weird.
Oh, I have such bad news for you and my feelings about the song Welcome from Moana later in this podcast.
Oh, no.
Let's holster that.
I think some friendships are about to get broken.
I'm going to brace myself for that. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, let's get right into it here. Did I go through the whole seeding last time? I don't think I did before. We'll reveal the seeds. We did use a list on BuzzFeed, so take that for what it's worth. But we all agree that was a pretty good list. I think there are some movies that we'll have wanted to put in our own personal top 16 to start the bracket. We can get to that later in the show. Let's kick it off. A very unsurprising 1 seed here. The Lion King versus 16 seed Sleeping Beauty. Do we even need to get in the nitty gritty here?
Somebody say something nice about Sleeping Beauty. And
yeah, someone can we give like a post-mortem for Sleeping Beauty right off the bat?
I did re-listened to some of the Sleeping Beauty soundtrack in preparation for this. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of the other Disney soundtracks are known for their hits, those songs you can sing along to, and Sleeping Beauty is not quite that kind of movie. It's a little bit more classic, but the music is lovely. The music is just wonderful. And so I do think if you need some study music, or ironically, if you're trying to go to sleep, this is a great soundtrack to put on. So respectfully, not voting for it, but it fought a good fight in its time.
Yes.
Yeah. It is very much from a different era of Disney soundtracks. Like you said, like the more modern Disney soundtracks that I think the three of us all grew up. We're listening to we're used to those bangers that like you said, that we sing along with. Sleeping Beauty, the one is like Once Upon a Dream is like the one song that you could say is like a hit. But yeah, this is a clean sweep, right, for Lion King?
Yeah, it's like when you look at like old sports stars, like old like basketball stars or something, and you go, oh, there's no way they'd be able to compete with the athletes playing today. But they did a good job. They got the sport to where it is today. Thank you for your work, Sleeping Beauty. But
what a great comparison from the person who says she doesn't know anything about sports.
It's true.
What a sports comp.
We'll get into it, but like definitely before the Disney Renaissance by several years. I had
several decades.
I had only heard the term Disney Renaissance, I think, a year ago. My friends and I lovingly refer to it as the plastic box era, which are those white foldable VHS cases. So anything that comes in that is going to have, I think, the sentimental value for the three of us, and anything that doesn't is going to be a little trickier.
Yeah. So, easy 3-0 win for The Lion King. Can we make that official? Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. This next one, I foresee potentially being difficult for the three of us, because I know how my co-host feels about one of these movies. It is the 8-seed Tangled, which is not a Disney Renaissance film, but a personal favorite of mine, and the 9-seed The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which does fall into the plastic case era, is that what you called it, Preston?
Yes.
Preston, I'll let you have the floor to open here.
This is very tough. So, for some context here, if you are ranking Disney soundtracks and you take the lyrical music numbers out, so you're just doing what I guess most people call the score.
The score, yeah.
Yeah, if you just take the score, then my rankings of Disney movies all time is Lion King 1, Hunchback 2. The Hunchback score is unbelievably good. It is very different than most other Disney movies. It is incredibly good. But there's really only like one or two actually great lyrical numbers that come out of that. And Tangled is, a lot of them are very good. So, since I think we're going with the lyrical soundtrack part of this, like the songs you're listening to on Spotify, like on the road, I'm probably going to have to vote Tangled. But if it was Scores, which would be a podcast only I would listen to, then it would be Hunchback.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
I appreciate the eulogy there for Hunchback of Notre Dame. I appreciate that. You did it well, but it's an easy Tangled vote for me. This is one of those movies that I think a lot of people from our generation, you either saw it or you didn't. There wasn't a ton of hype around it.
Yeah, that's true.
But everyone who's seen it has said, this movie's amazing. You've got to see it. And the music is such a big part of what makes the movie that good. The songs are catchy as hell. Yeah. And really well written, clever. I love this movie, and it's almost entirely because of the music. This was an easy win, and if I was doing the seeding myself, would have been seeded higher than 8.
Yeah, I agree with that, Katie. I'm pleasantly surprised. I know Preston has like a pretty deep connection with Hunchback that I do not share. So I was a little worried about this. Yeah, I mean, Tangled, I See the Light is a fucking 5-star first ballot Hall of Fame Disney song.
Yes.
It is incredible. It's so good. It's like, it can make you cry. it makes you feel every emotion. It's beautiful. Like if you have not, I mean, I think you should watch Tangled first if you've not heard the song, but watch Tangled and then listen to that song a million times. Also, shout out. I don't know if this one really counts. There's another movie that has a similar song, which is like the credits song. They have like an original credit song.
Yeah.
And Something That I Want by Grace Potter. I don't know if you could really count that in the soundtrack, but it also fucking slaps. That's a great goddamn song. Have you guys heard?
A lot of very
it?
cool outro credit songs in Disney movies that
Yeah,
don't
that's
get the
true.
rep they deserve.
That is true.
No, I
Katie,
have not heard it.
You guys both need to listen to it as soon as we're done recording this pod. I was listening to it like on repeat while prepping for this draft. It goes on. Okay. Next up, let's keep. Well, first let me pencil in Tangled here as
That one
advancing to
hurts.
the next round.
That one hurts. I feel like I didn't appropriately eulogize Hunchback. That one.
No, you
'cause you're
did a
right.
good job.
It is
You did a
high
good
up
job.
for me, and that one definitely hurts.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean,
Folding so soon, so fast. It's so early.
it was overseeded, I think.
So
At
what's
at
the
9?
problem is Out There from Hunchback is one of my favorite Disney songs. Top 2 or 3. I think it's probably because it fits in my voice a little bit, and I used to sing it a lot during college. So like that's probably why. And I may be using that to overhype the rest of the movie. But yeah, kind of bummed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we made the right decision there. 3-0 for Tangled. Now apparently this is where it is going to get potentially divisive here. We have the 4-seed Moana against 13-seed Pocahontas. Katie, you teased that you have some strong feelings at least about You're Welcome. How do you feel about this matchup?
I think Moana is obscenely overseeded here.
Oof.
And that is because I look at this seeding as average across the soundtrack, not how high are the highs or how low are the lows. How Far I'll Go is one of the best songs that has been written and performed in the last 10, 20 years. Easy. The rest of the soundtrack, for me, a little forgettable.
Oof,
honestly.
that hurts
I
me,
listen
to
to
my
Disney
soul.
songs and I listen to How Far I'll Go 20 times. I skip the rest. Maybe the
Wow.
song with The Rock.
Wow.
I think 4 is an obscene, disrespectful ranking for this one.
Oh.
Katie with the
So it's
fire.
Easy Pocahontas vote for me here.
Wow.
Interesting.
And not even getting into why Pocahontas is great, but really
Doesn't matter, yeah,
Moana's
yeah.
too high here.
Okay.
I will say, I'll let Preston be the closer. This one is very tough for me. I think I have like the same kind of opinion where it's like, I think average is more important than heights. But to me, like Pocahontas, I think Colors of the Wind is like objectively the best Disney song of all time. I think Just Around the River Bend also is fantastic. And I feel like none of the rest of the songs of Pocahontas are very good. Maybe I'm forgetting one or two, but like Savages, bad song, also does not hold up well at all.
Very bad. Very bad.
I feel like the lows in the Pocahontas soundtrack kind of match more of like what Pocahontas is overall as a movie, which is not very good. So like it pains me to vote against Colors of the Wind, which, as I say, in my opinion, is the greatest Disney song. But for me, I feel like Moana has a bunch of bangers. Like when I went and saw Moana, I was like, movie pretty forgettable. But for me, How Far I'll Go isn't even the best song. I mean, I fucking love You're Welcome. And what's the other one? I have so many notes here. Where You Are. I think Where You Are is better than How Far I'll Go. I also really like some like the tribal songs that they have in there. The only one that I really don't like is the Shiny one. I think the Shiny doesn't really fit at all with the rest of the movie. So that like I agreed that Moana probably shouldn't be the 4 seed, but I do think I have to vote for them over Pocahontas here.
So you kind of stole my thinking here, because Savage is very bad. Potentially the worst Disney song ever made.
No, Peter Pan has some real
okay.
contenders for that.
Very bad, yes. Savage is very bad. The Shiny song from Moana, also very bad.
It's pretty
Pretty
bad.
not
And a lot of
good.
people like it, I feel. I don't really get it at all.
It feels so unbelievably shoehorned in. That whole thing with the crab and the collection and stuff, it feels
It's
very...
a total vanity piece.
Yes, it feels complete afterthought to the actual content of the story. I like Moana as a movie significantly better. Just throwing that out there. Pocahontas is not a very good movie. But
that is true.
Those top 2 songs in Pocahontas are all-timers.
Yeah.
So really what you're talking about here is Colors of the Wind, Just Around the River Bend, versus How Far I'll Go or You're Welcome. And
Katie has another, I think, for
Steady as the Beating Drum is a beautiful, lovely song
that
from
one's
Pocahontas.
good too, yeah. I knew there was another one
Also,
I was forgetting.
Virginia Company, it's forgettable. It's like a setup song, but it's not a bad setup song.
Mm-hmm.
As far as those kind of songs in Disney movies, sometimes you have ones that, like, they just need to get the plot from A to B, and they're like, they might as well be singing while they do this.
Yeah.
I think the Virginia Company is a good example of that, but it's not a bad song. I'd forgotten about it until a recent playlist where someone had some fairly deep cuts of Disney on it, and I was like, oh, this song. And it holds up.
Oh, yeah.
So I would say it's like 3 for Pocahontas versus Moana's 2.
do you guys get a sense that the people who made Moana were looking at Pocahontas and just figured we're going to right all of these wrongs one at a time as we go? Moana is a very similar story and told in a significantly better way, and it's just overall better. But the Pocahontas soundtrack, if I'm pulling my 15 to 20 I've got to listen to, I'm getting both of those very early. If this was a draft, both of those picks are coming before the 2 Moana picks. So that tells me I've got to put it through. So my vote is Pocahontas.
So that's our first upset. Pocahontas goes 2-1. I will say Pocahontas at the 13 seed feels criminally underseeded.
It's because the movie's so bad. Yeah. It's hard to separate the music from that. Yeah.
Perhaps. Okay, this is another interesting one, I think. We have 5 seed Beauty and the Beast versus 12 seed Frozen. Now, this one is no contest for me. I think Frozen is the most overrated, maybe movie of all time, not just Disney movie of all time.
No,
I think
it's
the
Avatar.
soundtrack...
It's got to be Avatar.
But did people
Always
like
Avatar?
Like, people went and saw Avatar because of the spectacle, but I don't remember people, ever saying, oh, man, Avatar is the best movie I've ever seen. People, lost their minds for Frozen, and I was like, this is the movie people were losing their minds over?
If by people you mean 8-year-old girls, then sure.
No, people outrage. People outrage. I don't know if they were just so deprived of, Disney nostalgia. I don't know. But the soundtrack, to me, is entirely forgettable. Let It Go is fucking annoying. It's not a good song. There are no good songs on the soundtrack. Frozen is trash. It's an embarrassment that it's in this bracket at all. That's my take.
Huh.
So I was going to vote the same way. I was going to vote the same way as you, but now I feel like I have to defend Frozen.
You have to push back now? No, I think Preston likes Frozen. I think he's the one that can defend Frozen.
You're such a bully on the playground. You're such a bully on the playground to Frozen. I'm like, okay, yeah, the kid deserves to get beat up, but not that bad.
Seriously.
Let him have something.
It's Frozen's already dead. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm not stepping in front of this moving freight train. No, Frozen's good.
No.
What the hump of this I can't get over for Frozen is that the Frozen 2 soundtrack is better. So, it seems hard for me to vote for a movie where its sequel, that, by the way, spoiler, is not on this list, had a better overall soundtrack to me. I would disagree that Frozen doesn't have a single good song. I think it's got some nice, bright moments. I'm not a huge Beauty and the Beast fan. This is a soft vote for me. It has the one good song I really like, and then other than that, I kind of pull back from it, and it's meh.
Well, which is the one song?
Be Our Guest.
Yeah, that's the best song. Ironically, though, did not win the Oscar for Best Original Song. It lost to Beauty and the Beast from the same soundtrack.
Quick tangent here. We're going to pause so I can let you guys know that I will cut this if this is not funny. Quick tangent.
But if it is funny, you have to leave that tangent in.
I know. I love being
that qualifier.
I love being the one that edits this because it gives me so much more freedom to just go off on bullshittery. Since I'm the one that it gives more work to. If I was giving Daniel more work, I'd feel pretty bad about it. Lauren and I did a full concert. Lauren, my fiance, and I did a full concert of Disney songs, which we will get to a little bit later. But specifically, we did the intro song to Beauty and the Beast with the full choir. Everybody in the choir got a speaking part because Belle's going around town and you say, eat this bread and all this other stuff. There's one guy in the back, this sweet old man. His line is, "Good morning, Belle." And he could never get it on time. And during the concert, we start and Belle starts singing, "There goes the baker with it." Halfway through her verse, he goes, "Good morning, Belle," just from the back of the room. When she's halfway through that first verse, oh my lord, that was the last concert That was the last concert we did with that choir. We will be revisiting that day a little later in this bracket for an even more embarrassing story for yours truly. But anyways, my vote is for Beauty and the Beast here.
I do want to just say here, it sounds like we're all in agreement, but I think of all of the movies on this list going through this exercise, Beauty and the Beast surprised me the most about how many songs I really, really love on this soundtrack. In doing this research, I was looking up Something There and reading about how beautiful and lovely that song is. You know, the two of them starting to realize that maybe their, hatred could actually be something better. And then Be Our Guest, as you mentioned, Beauty and the Beast. That intro song with Belle is lovely. It's beautiful. And then I love the song Gaston.
Oh, I kind of hate it.
Stupid.
It is so
it's
stupid.
So stupid. But it's such a good song for a kids movie like this.
That's fair.
And
it's a great villain song. Great villain song.
Exactly what I was going to say. All these Disney songs they've got, or these Disney movies have their villain song. And this one so clearly shows that he's evil, but also a total idiot in this way that sets him up perfectly in the movie.
That's true.
I love Gaston, even though it's dumb. But yeah, I just kept going through the soundtrack and finding more and more songs I liked. And so it actually felt like a richer, stronger soundtrack than I expected.
What's our position on the live-action remakes of some of these? Have we seen them? Do we not care for them? Daniel's given us the 2 thumbs down.
I've ignored them all in protest.
Yeah, same.
Though I will say, and we'll talk about it when we get to Mulan, some of them, when they don't have the songs in them, it's the most tragic thing you've ever watched.
Yes.
Watching a live-action version of a movie without the songs,
Why do it?
Painful.
I don't get it.
None of the live-action remakes have worked for me. But they make a crap ton of money. So, who are we to
stop
sit here
seeing
and
them?
judge?
I feel like the target audience probably isn't people that also listen to Drafted. But if you listen to Drafted, stop seeing the damn Disney remakes. Okay, don't do it. It's bad for all of us.
I want to agree with you, Daniel. But man, I just think when each of us has a 3-year-old or 5-year-old kid screaming to see a movie, you do whatever it takes to get that kid to stop screaming.
The whole point is it gives us a chance, who grew up with these movies, to take our future children. Like, imagine your child being excited over The Lion King and it's new.
But just like, show them the real Lion King, Yeah. Just show them
How
the real
great would
thing
it be
that's
to
infinitely better.
Rent out a theater, tell your kids 3rd grade class they're going to see The Lion King and play the OG one, like from the projector.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, it'd probably
that's the real parent of the year move. Yeah. Okay. This is another easy one for me. I want to hear from you guys first, though. We have 2-seed The Little Mermaid versus 15-seed Pinocchio. This is another kind of mix-up of eras here, where Pinocchio's 1940, I think, versus The Little Mermaid. Both did have, I believe, both won an Oscar for Best Original Song. So that's kind of cool. A fun little matchup between those two.
It's not close for me.
Yeah,
it's a tough look for Pinocchio here. I mean, I had to sing to my husband you got no strings to hold me up to prove that movie even had
that was
music
thing.
in it. And he's like, oh yeah. But I mean, The Little Mermaid is one of the best soundtracks, one of the best movies. It's my favorite Disney movie of all time. And I think that it's going to beat much stronger movies, maybe, than Pinocchio. This is just its first victim in this bracket.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Pinocchio does get the credit for introducing what became the Disney theme song.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Which is pretty cool, but more so valuable because of its age. It's a great song, but...
It is a good song. When You Wish Upon a Star, of course, is the song we're referring to.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, The Little Mermaid is just... classic after classic after classic, and it was the first movie of what is considered the Disney Renaissance, and ushered in just the absolute bangers of soundtracks. So yeah, totally agree. It's primed for a deep run here. Easily wipes aside Pinocchio while tipping a hat to the historical importance that Pinocchio contributed to the Disney soundtrack universe. Let's find out who Little Mermaid is going to play in the next round. We got our matchup: 7-seed Mulan versus 10-seed Tarzan. I could see this one getting a little nasty between the three of us, depending on how you guys feel about one of these two movies.
This is the toughest matchup of the bracket so far to me.
Ooh.
I have a lot of trouble with this one. I think that the Tarzan soundtrack is phenomenal. and the Mulan soundtrack is absolutely my favorite soundtrack out of this list.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Not favorite movie, that's Little Mermaid, but favorite soundtrack is easily Mulan. So I really had to search within myself and, understand, do I go with the Phil Collins classics or do I go with my heart?
Some soul searching.
At the end of the day, I went with my heart. I'm going with Mulan here, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I'd understand if we went the other way.
I wouldn't.
It just feels like this one should come later. I think I'm going to end up probably being with Katie here, but it just feels like this is not apt for a first round matchup because Mulan is a top 2 or 3er and Tarzan is it's so different that it has to be considered up there because it's so unlike a lot of the other stuff. So it is Mulan, but not what Tarzan deserves.
Do you guys want to know the one Tarzan soundtrack song I like?
It's Trash in the Camp.
Yeah, the one that does not have Phil Collins singing.
I know you very well.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Collins is not my cup of tea. I mean, there are some songs of his that I like, mostly when he was still with Genesis. I just thought it was real lame to and I can tell, obviously they were trying to do something different, right? They were trying to break the formula of having all these in-movie songs with the characters singing. I am not on board with the whole, let's have Phil Collins do the soundtrack for the movie, even though he's not a character in the movie, and every single song will be by him. That's just, I don't like it. It's so, for me, it probably would be my personal top 16 bracket, just out of respect for how I know a lot of other people our age feel about it. But for me, it's not even close to being a second round contender here.
I like to imagine that they asked Phil Collins to make songs that were more in-movie specific, make a more traditional Disney soundtrack. And he just went away for 3 months,
just
thought
disappeared.
about what he felt like he wanted to write, and said, hi, I've delivered this. This can either be your Tarzan soundtrack, or I'm just going to drop this as a normal album. And the Disney execs went,
oh, shit.
Damn, this is really good. All right, we'll shoehorn it in here. We'll rewrite the story a little bit.
That makes me like it a little more.
I don't think he was listening.
Before you mentioned it, Daniel, I hadn't really thought about it. It's one of the only ones on this list that's what's the musical word? Non-diegenic. It's not with the characters all the time.
Yeah.
It is at the very beginning when the mother is singing to the baby, but that's kind of it. Besides Trash in the Camp, where they are actually hitting the things. So that is kind of weird. That also weird that I didn't notice that. I just seemingly forgot that nobody in that movie, none of the protagonists really sing or perform anything at any point. But it's still very good.
I should say, I should qualify that I also just don't like Tarzan very much. So I think, and I never did as a kid, it's not one that I grew out of. I just was never into Tarzan. So maybe if I'd liked the movie more, I'd probably have a deeper connection to the soundtrack, but I've never had that attachment to either one. So
You were more of a George of the Jungle fan?
Absolutely.
You're in one of the two camps?
I think as a kid I probably was. That's Brendan Fraser, right? Was George of the Jungle?
Yes.
I mean, I would never say it. I love George of the Jungle, but I don't know. Tarzan just never did it for me, soundtrack or movie-wise. I don't really know why. Well, I know why with the soundtrack, but I don't really know why with the movie.
That song is near the end of the Disney Renaissance in terms of times that they've won Oscars for songs in their movies. Mm-hmm. Looking at the list, they had Pinocchio in the 40s for Best Original Song, and then they went on such a heater with Under the Sea 87, Beauty and the Beast 91, Whole New World 92, Can You Feel the Love Tonight 1994, Colors of the Wind 95, You'll Be in My Heart in 99, and then had a huge break until Let It Go. As an Oscars obsessive, there's a lot of jokes about how bad the category of Best Original Song is. Because today it's songs that they just play over the credits that have nothing to do with the movies. It's just a really weird side category as a way to get celebrities to the Oscars. But looking at this list, I remembered, the reason we have this category is for a decade and a half, it was just the Disney show.
Yeah. Over
and over and over again, the same way that Best Animated Feature was the Pixar show. So I have a little bit more respect for that category and for what a heater it was on.
Yeah. That is
with Tarzan.
Pumping out good stuff.
Yeah, and I think the only reason it ended really was because Disney, for whatever reason, kind of stopped making musicals for a little while. They tried to get away from that for some strange reason. I don't know.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Stick to what you're good at, Disney.
At a certain point, we're going to do a draft of best Disney villain deaths. At a certain point, it's just going to have to happen. Whether that's 10 years from now or 6 months from now, it's going to happen. This is going to be up there for me. It is heinous. If you haven't seen the movie in a while, go look up the clip on YouTube or something. It's quite bad.
Oh, the way the villain dies in Tarzan?
Yes.
And also, we can't forget one of the great Disney sidekicks of all time.
Oh my God, get out of here. I hate you. I hate you so
the
much.
gorilla dad.
I hate you so much. Dads are life's greatest sidekicks. This is still a thing.
Listen, dads deserve better than that. We've been over this.
When I have my first child, I will buy a little T-shirt that says sidekick. We're gonna make some drafted merch. For babies, like some little baby onesies, and says my dad is my sidekick.
Don't get that idea away for free. Someone else is gonna steal it.
All right. If you're listening to this, TM, copyright. There, you can't take it.
Jinx. We said you can't take it at the exact same time. That's how in sync we are. Okay, next up we have 3-seed Aladdin versus 14-seed Cinderella. I'll just go ahead and say this is a fucking cakewalk for Aladdin. I think Aladdin could easily be the 2 or maybe even the 1 seed depending on like how you feel about certain songs. Aladdin, like Katie said, is right in that era of where Disney was just fucking slaying the soundtrack game. Cinderella's another one. It's just like, it's kind of unfair. It's from a different era. It has some songs that, like, of course are classics, but like a lot of them just aren't the songs that we think of when you think of Disney soundtrack. So it's just kind of out of its league here, I think.
Totally agree. I think we can talk more about Aladdin in a later round and really get into why that soundtrack is so great, but this is an easy Aladdin win here. All due respect to Cinderella, great movie, played a good game, but it's an older soundtrack, and it's not a particularly memorable one.
Yeah, to make another sports comparison, Cinderella is like the 14 seed. I mean, there are the 14 seed here who hangs around for like the first 2 minutes into the second half, and you're like, oh, do we have something brewing here? And then the 3 seed like actually starts playing well, and they end up winning by like 25, 30 points. That's kind of what we have here in this matchup, in my opinion.
The opposite of a Cinderella story. Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, yes. Nice.
A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes is pretty good.
It's a great song. It's an all-time great. All-time great.
That's all we have to say, and we can move on now.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, our final matchup of the first round here. I feel like we've been cruising through this pretty good, or maybe I'm just having a lot of fun. I don't know.
It's gonna get heated in this next round. Like these are easy compared to what's about to happen.
Actually, this one was shockingly difficult for me. I'm still not sure how I'm going to vote, to be honest. I think I want to hear from you guys first. But we have Hercules as the 6 seed and the Princess and the Frog as the 11 seed.
I hate this. I hate it so much because I love Princess and the Frog. I'm always on the hot takes about that movie being better than people remember. It's very, very good. But it can't beat Hercules, though. Come on now. That just can't happen.
Could it, though? Could it?
No,
I think
guys.
It maybe could.
Guys.
I'm here to bring you all back to chalk. It's Hercules.
Thank you.
Listen,
Jesus.
it's Hercules.
You scared me for a second.
The movie I have fuzzy memories of, but the soundtrack is so good. It's so unique. You know, you could tell they really went with a theme throughout it and kind of carried that through the movie. Like, it has more of a personality, I think, than some of the other soundtracks that we all really love.
100%.
Also, I have to say, if I value my marriage, this is my husband's #1 Disney movie, no questions. When I was trying to do this seeding myself, Hercules was way higher than I would personally put it, but for the sake of Mike, a dear friend of the pod, Hercules is coming up quite high. And it's quite good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it is a soundtrack of bangers. Exactly. Yeah. It's the choice here.
Hercules the movie is pretty good. It's pretty good. The soundtrack is really good. Like, I think it's actually holding up a pretty good movie to turn it into like an all-time great. Hercules,
I think that's pretty true.
It may not be my favorite Disney movie, is the one I watched the most as a kid. There's something about like
it's the boy Disney movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. At least in the 90s, like the little boy culture, you watch that one. Yeah. It's gonna get really tough in the next round. But guys, I really like Princess and the Frog. I'm sad that we don't get to talk about it like into the next round because it's really, really good. There are some excellent songs there, and one of the best villain deaths since I mentioned that earlier, of any Disney movie.
Spoiler
it's
alert.
really cool.
So I have not seen The Princess and the Frog, and I'm sad of that. I have Disney Plus and everything. I just have not gotten around to it. And this is like the one soundtrack that I had to go back and listen to and prep for this draft. And I was floored. This is an incredible soundtrack.
It's so good.
It's got Neo. It's got Dr. John for like that Cajun New Orleans feel. I mean, Almost There, Friends on the Other Side, When We're Human are all fucking top drawer bangers. Like, and you talk about like a soundtrack having a theme. I mean, they nail the theme and the sound for a movie that's like set in like the bayous of New Orleans. It's phenomenal. And like, I love the Hercules soundtrack. Like, my go-to song that I want to sing anytime if I could pick any Disney song to sing, it's Go the Distance. And yeah, like the chorus, it's a perfect allusion to like the chorus in Greek plays. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like, this is a titanic matchup in my opinion. I think both of these movies are underseeded, and it sounds like both of you are going to vote for Hercules. So I think I'm actually going to give like a vote of honor and remembrance to Princess and the Frog here, because I think it deserves much better than being swept out of the first round.
This is the higher seed winning on a buzzer beater. Like, it was close, but boy, they got through. But woo, if that other team hadn't faced them in the first round, they could have done some noise.
Yeah, they had a really unfortunate draw. They should have done better in the prelims, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well done, Daniel, voting for the one movie you haven't seen in this list.
That is true.
Yeah, right? That just goes to show you that I tried to really come in with an open mind, you know? I mean, like, Hercules, totally agree with Preston, is the Disney movie I watched the most as a kid. It's like I said, it's like Little Mermaid, I feel like was all the girls' favorite Disney movie, and Hercules is all the boys.
Yeah,
and like as we've aged, some people have like kept the favorite or, you know, evolved their favorite. But okay, yeah. So we have an Elite Eight here. We have The Lion King versus Tangled in the next round, Pocahontas versus Beauty and the Beast in the next round, The Little Mermaid versus Mulan, and Aladdin versus Hercules. A lot of movies from pretty similar eras there. That's probably not shocking.
The first 40 minutes of the show does not matter. Scrap it, throw it out.
It was all,
This is where shit gets real. People are going to get their feelings hurt. It's going to get bad.
It's going to get dirty and mean.
I have to say, one half of this bracket is so much more competitive than the other one. It's obscene. Like, there are going to be some arguments on one half of this bracket.
I totally agree.
We'll find things to argue about all over the place, but it is so lopsided in a way that I think we can only really blame on BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I think the real villain of this podcast is BuzzFeed.
When are we going to see that villain death?
It is giving us some very difficult choices.
Yeah. How did they not know that somebody was going to seed this 1 through 16 and play it all out?
Come on, BuzzFeed. Okay, so we've got some soul searching to do before this next round. So we'll take a quick breather and we'll be right back. Hey guys, just want to take a quick second to promote the fact that we are now on Patreon. Yes, you can support us at patreon.com/draftedpod. That would mean so much. And if that's not your thing, we also have a brand new Discord, so come hang out with us anyway. We'll go ahead and post a link to both in the description of the episode. So check them out. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, we're back. Now, the second half, I think, is going to get a little dangerous for us. So we did some serious soul searching. We hydrated. We got into a good mental place. We're going to get as friendly as we possibly can. And we've put on our best behavior and kindness bibs.
Kindness bibs? More for the merch
is
store.
That the merch?
More for the merch store, baby. Let's go. Kindness bibs.
Okay, I don't know where that came from.
What even
I have no idea.
That? Okay.
I don't know. Okay, I wanted to say some sort of clothing that would make us well behaved. I don't know why bibs is what I came out with. Okay.
Is it just
I have no idea.
bibs that say kindness? Or is it like the adult napkins you wear at the table to cover your dress shirts?
Katie, you have as good an idea as I do. We're all got our kindness bibs on now, right? Our kindness bibs. I genuinely have no idea where that came from. But the point is, we all want to be well-behaved here because it's going to get feisty. I think there's going to be some intense disagreements. But let's start off with one that I think will not be too much of a disagreement, and that is The Lion King versus Tangled.
Yeah.
I mean, we can put Lion King through, right? We don't need to break it down. I think we all love Tangled here.
No.
It made it to the quarterfinals. Just good.
No, it's like the fresh-faced star coming to the Grammys. You know, like you've got a bright future ahead of you, but you're up against Beyonce.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Tough luck.
Not your time, kid.
And Tangled understands. Tangled understands.
Oh, Tangled 100% understands. I mean, they're thrilled to be here. You know, they know their place. I think
Exactly.
Like they're like the gem of the after party. You know, you go up and say, "Oh, I voted for you," even though you really didn't, because you want them to like you so bad.
They don't believe you either, but they're polite about it, so it all feels like a nice interaction.
100%. Just delightful. Tangled is just delightful. It's a delightful film, and if you have not seen Tangled, watch Tangled. Listen to the soundtrack. Watch Tangled. It's a treat. Okay, this one I think will be a little bit tougher. We've got Pocahontas versus Beauty and the Beast.
So this will be interesting because I think Preston's arguments from earlier convinced me to go with Beauty and the Beast because it just has a deeper bench of songs. I think I would have fought harder for Pocahontas earlier. And then as we were talking about it, and I looked through the soundtrack again and thought about it, Beauty and the Beast can go deeper into its hits and still find songs that people know and they recognize. So I'm going with Beauty and the Beast here.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Preston, you look like you have some different thoughts over there.
Well, what's funny is I'm using the same logic as Katie, but I came to a different conclusion.
And I knew that you would. I was looking at you going, I know you're going to vote the other way. But everything you've said has convinced me the opposite way.
Wow. You know, what's weird about Beauty and the Beast is there's an added on song in the Broadway edition that is my favorite song from the musical movie, whatever you want to call it. And then they added a song to the live action version. The live action version was not great, but that song they added on is probably my second favorite song. So my two favorite songs from Beauty and the Beast aren't in the actual stupid movie. Like, it's Be Our Guest is very good, but Pocahontas has like just elite. They're being to keep our sports metaphor going. They are being driven by the two guards. They've got nothing else. Like the rest of the people, the rest of the people filling out this team, they pulled up from some AA school like 6 weeks ago, and they're not really even sure of what the offense is. But everybody move out of the way for one of these two guards. It's their time to go score.
There's space.
Yeah, and that's not going to beat that. So I'm going Pocahontas.
But we're old men in your choir messing up the intro to Pocahontas. I think you chose Beauty and the Beast for a reason. And it's because it's a beautiful, complex song to kick off a beautiful and complex soundtrack.
It has a nostalgic place in my heart to where at any point my fiance and I can just shout "Good morning, Belle" to one another and we'll just start laughing hysterically.
That's great.
But no, that is not enough to carry it over.
Yeah, this really is a tough one.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is. And in my opinion, it's tough because, I mean, neither really feel super deserving of making it to the next round. They both have their highs, but I think they also kind of have their lows. Like, neither, for me, hits at a consistent mark. Beauty and the Beast, of course, like, you know, the headliner is Beauty and the Beast. And it's a beautiful song. Like I said, like we said, it won the Oscar for Best Song. So you have to give it.
Some may call it a tale as old as time.
Oh my lord! Get out of here.
Yeah, you might have to call it that. And it's it's beautifully sung by oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. I always do this. I blank.
I totally forgot to.
Legendary
Angela.
English. Lansbury. Angela Lansbury.
Boy, we were going to get some tweets if we didn't get that one. Woo, good
Well,
pull.
I mean, we could have just edited it in. But yeah, good teamwork, Katie.
Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, we'll get a clean take of that, and we'll put it in Daniel's voice, and it'll be great.
Yeah. No, it's seamless as is. We don't need to put it in my voice. No one would notice. But yeah, that and Be Our Guest are great songs. But I think, like compared to Colors of the Wind and Just Around the River Bend, they fall pretty short. Like I think Colors of the Wind is the best Disney song. And that's hard to compete with. Like I don't think Beauty and the Beast really has anything in that realm. And I think Just Around the River Bend is probably better than any song in Beauty and the Beast as well. So Beauty and the Beast certainly has its place. I think it's maybe a little fortunate, to like be in this spot based on how I feel about it. Pocahontas certainly is too. They're not a very strong contender in the next round, I don't think. But I think I have to put Pocahontas through.
I was going to say, also deliberating between Pocahontas and Beauty and the Beast, it feels a little bit like rearranging your furniture before the apocalypse. Like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Very
what
true.
What are we even doing
who is going to get their ass kicked?
Yeah, losing here actually is maybe the more enviable position. It's the better spot.
So they can hang back and say, well, we would have gotten them if we had been the one that went through.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to suffer the absolute beatdown. Okay, next we have an absolutely titanic matchup between The Little Mermaid and Mulan. Yeah, it's tough. I think actually one of you said that Mulan was your favorite soundtrack and The Little Mermaid was the other's favorite soundtrack. Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't know that I said best for Mulan, but
okay.
Yeah, we'll have to determine that. That, I guess, is TBD.
Yeah. We'll find out and momentarily.
Okay. Unprecedented for the show, but I need some time, Katie. I'm sorry. Can you go ahead?
I don't even know what I don't know what I feel.
Dan, let's go.
Dan, I am the one who said Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney movie of all time. I said Mulan is the best Disney soundtrack of all time.
Gotcha. So I took Katie's two qualities and tried to split them amongst the two of you. But it's Katie who's the most tormented here, I suppose. Sure, I will start because this is actually fairly easy for me. To me, it's Little Mermaid. Mulan obviously has some classics, but Little Mermaid, Kiss the Girl, Under the Sea, Poor Unfortunate Souls, Part of Your World. These are like all major go-tos, and like anytime you hear them, you have to absolutely belt them out. For me, Mulan, the only one that really hits that category is I'll Make a Man Out of You. And like the others are like kind of beautiful songs, but to me, those four songs I listed from Little Mermaid, I think are more indispensable to the Disney music pantheon than the collection of songs from Mulan. So that's my vote. Now, have I stalled enough for either of you guys to have an opinion yet? No.
Utter
or just silence.
Crushing silence.
I wish you guys could see the faces they were making right now. Pure torment.
I just have to say, I make decisions for a living. Like, most of my job is just making decisions with not having to back much of it up. I'm just paid to say that. And that's a stupid reason to get paid, but I'm pretty good at making decisions. And this is brutal. I didn't expect this. I should have mathed this out and done the emotional pre-work before this podcast to get to this moment. Mm-hmm. All of this to say, I'm still not ready to make a call. Preston, if you're any further on this, so for some context for Mulan, this was, like I think many people of our generation, but especially I think a lot of women of this generation, this was such a big part of my college experience. Like, the songs from Mulan are what me and all of my college friends listen to. I think Little Mermaid is much more a piece of, like, my childhood. It's what I grew up watching and singing and listening to. I had the Little Mermaid toys in the bathtub. But Mulan, for me, weirdly, is like college to me. It's such a big piece of nostalgia for me from those years that it's like choosing between my child self and my college self. Oof. And I still don't have a decision.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Cool. It's actually very similar for me. That was the same thing that our our group of friends, our Frisbee team, like all the people we hung out with, we would listen to Mulan all the time. I think it just, like, it holds a particular place with me. Please don't take this as a hot take, but it's like, for me personally, I like Reflection better than Part of Your World. Like, that is a bigger jam for me. I have to reward that. So I'm putting a vote towards Mulan here. It's tough, but I think I always knew that I was going to land on this side of the coin.
Wow. All right, Katie.
So that didn't make it easier. Now you can't cop out, Katie. You got to decide.
No, that was helpful. Again, Preston is guiding me through this podcast, whether he wants to or not.
Oh wow!
Oh
and
boy!
It may.
Have you seen how these? Have you seen how the comment section has treated me on some of these? You may not want to take me as your spiritual guide here.
Yeah. Good luck, Katie.
It made the decision very clear. If I'm opening, a music player and I'm choosing one soundtrack to listen to while working or doing something, I'm choosing Mulan before I choose Little Mermaid. So I'm gonna vote Mulan. That's the one that I want to open up and listen to front to back over and over again.
Now part of my thought process here was I don't think Little Mermaid is as good as a movie as Mulan in, which means it's held up by a stellar. Yes. Like really out of this world.
Yes.
Or really part of this world.
The classic bait and switch from Preston.
No, I'm not flipping.
Don't leave me now.
Katie in.
I'm not flipping, but I did not want to punish Mulan for actually being a good movie. And I do think, by the way, despite what I said earlier, Mulan can be a good movie without that music. The problem is not that they took the music out, it's that they didn't replace it with anything. The music are these like character development moments that they took out. Yeah. And now there's just like a 5-minute gap where suddenly the character has realized the error in their ways. And it just makes no sense. So I think that can be like a really good movie without that music in it. But that soundtrack, oh my God. Katie's right. If I'm going to Spotify, it's not even really that close, to be honest.
Wow. I will say this one does hurt a little bit. I mean, I totally can see why. Like I don't begrudge Mulan for advancing. I think this one would be a very tight vote if we opened it up to large numbers of people. I do want to pay credit to Little Mermaid though, because it was the first movie of the Disney Renaissance and really kind of set off that train of like the classic Disney soundtracks that we all think of with its classic timeless bangers.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
A lot of Disney movies have a song like we talked about with Shiny, where you could just pull it out and it kind of just seems like a waste. In Little Mermaid, that seems like Les Poissons or whatever.
Les Poissons, yeah.
You can kind of just like remove that and nothing really happens. Is there a Mulan song that I'm forgetting that is that?
No, I don't think so.
Everything in there serves to further the plot to the next thing, which is very, very special. I don't know that there's a lot of movies on here that really do that.
I will say that...
that's a great point, Preston. Really great point.
Yeah, I will also say that Ursula's song in Little Mermaid is, for me, top 2 Disney villain songs.
For me,
off the top of my head.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. A fantastic villain song. Like that song does so much. She becomes a lesser villain without that song.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've done a proper job of eulogizing The Little Mermaid. So let's move on to another very tough one that I would not be surprised if it comes down to a decisive final vote. We have the 3-seed Aladdin versus the 6-seed Hercules. Do either of you have any strong thoughts that you'd like to open the floor with here?
So I have performed the title songs, or not the title songs, probably the best songs from each of these movies, live in front of at least 1,000 people. Go the Distance, I sang at my high school graduation. And A Whole New World, I sang with my fiance at that same church concert, in which halfway through, after her giving me a lot of crap because she's a better performer than I am. I have no qualms about that. That's just absolutely true, scientific fact. She gave me a lot of crap going up to it because we're competitive. Halfway through, she did forget the words. And she popped back near the end after skipping a verse. And the accompanist went with her for a moment because that's what good accompanists do. And they almost skipped my entire part of the song. Like, they almost skipped the entire second half where I come back in. And I'm standing there, I'm looking around, I do my couple glances across stage left and stage right. We came back in, but it is on video. So we do that, we go to intermission. I give her a bunch of crap, being like, I can't believe you forgot the words to this just unbelievably famous song. Like, there are people in this world who don't speak any English who know every word to that song.
Right.
The finale of the show is Under the Sea, the a cappella version in which I'm the main soloist. The end of the song has that little run where he's just saying phrases over and over again, one of which is every clam here know how to jam here. I forgot all of the phrases except for that one. So the song ended, if you can imagine this, it ended... Sorry, hold on, I have to gain my composure, because it's on film, and it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. So the background...
Wait, so it's on film?
Yes. The back...
Okay, we have to get this. We have to take it off the internet, download it.
I've got to get it, yeah.
We have to release this as subscriber
yes,
footage.
Absolutely. Great subscriber plug. Absolutely. And we'll release a whole new world, too, so everybody can make fun of Lauren, too.
Yes.
So the background acapella does the da-da-da-da-da, and at the end, I go, every clam here know how to jam here, every clam here know how to jam here, every clam here know how to jam here under the sea. Oh, my God.
Amazing.
I was mortified. I was stiff as a board.
That's instant karma.
And then just took like a bow and just ran. Just got out of there. Oh my God. Instant karma. So that was the last time Lauren and I performed on stage, I think in any capacity. That was maybe 3 years ago at this point. So I think we're done.
Wow.
I think that was it.
Yeah, that's how you want to go out.
And
sure.
on a low note.
The others in that run, I think, are like it's Hata under the Wata.
Yeah.
Each little snail here know how to whale here.
Easy to do it with only two other people on the Zoom call, Dan. But
yeah, true.
Put those spotlights on you, it gets toasty real quick.
Yeah,
all you can think about are clams.
Oh my Lord.
Everything else goes out, but the clams stay in the brain. Okay, now that we've had that beautiful little appetizer for this conversation between Aladdin and Hercules, do either of you feel strongly about your votes here?
No, for me, this is an easy Aladdin win. And I already said I like Hercules. I think Aladdin is the stronger pick here and should move forward. We didn't talk about Aladdin before because it knocked Cinderella out. But Aladdin is, it is just a nice bank of strong songs. But for me, in particular, Robin Williams brings something very unique, very chaotic, and
yeah, for sure,
very irreplaceable to this soundtrack that I think just differentiates it in a way that has to be recognized. So for me, it's an easy Aladdin win.
This is the part of the podcast that people cut and are going to send back to me in 6 months. It's Hercules for me. always has been.
I think that's totally valid. It
just has more stuff that I'm going out of my way to listen to. And just for the people at home, so I don't feel like an idiot, Go the Distance, I Won't Say I'm in Love, and Zero to Hero are on my list. They are high on my list. And all of the stuff that comes in, the score of that we've talked about before, that comes in between, all very good. Aladdin is good. It has the better number one overall song. That is for sure. But Hercules is it for me.
Okay, before I come back to throw the dirt on the still warm body of Hercules, I want to ask you guys a question.
You can do that, but as he showed in that movie, he will come back. He will come on back.
That's true. Well, maybe not anymore now that he's actually immortal. But anyway, I want to ask, what is the best song in Hercules? Because for a long time, my favorite song was Go the Distance. And good friend of the show, multi-time guest, Pat Segemiller, has long said that I Won't Say I'm in Love is the best song. And very recently, I think I had my mind changed that it is, in fact, the best song in Hercules. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Can I tell you why I agree with you? Please.
Every Disney movie's protagonist has the I Want song. Mulan, It's Reflection, Part of Your World, Little Mermaid. They're all pretty easy to identify. Go the Distance and Hercules. To make the love interest of a Disney movie more than just a love interest. Think about Nala. Nala has motivations, but to be honest, she's not a complicated character. She's very singularly motivated. Meg is she's motivated by multiple things at the same time. And that only really is achievable with her having her own number. And it has to be good. It can't just be I'm the princess. Don't you want to love me because I'm the pretty girl in the movie? It's complicated. She's dealing with stuff. And, like, there aren't many side characters, or not side characters, opposites of the main in Disney movies that have songs that can actually expand them like that. That is why it is the best song in Hercules. Because if you put that kind of song in all the other Disney movies, those movies only get better. Because those opposite characters are just, like, growing and becoming more complex.
I want to, like, applaud you, but I feel like it won't sound good on the podcast.
On the show?
That was beautiful, man. Holy shit. That was incredible. That was beautiful, just beautiful analysis.
Maybe Preston should only do Disney soundtrack podcasts.
Listen, yeah. I didn't study music composition and then switch into a more profitable field for nothing. Okay? I got those one semester's worth of music composition courses under my belt.
Yeah, goddamn. We found Presto's wheelhouse for sure. That was incredible.
Sorry, I'll dumb it down. I pick I Won't Say I'm in Love because Meg's like way hotter than any of the other people. Just like
so hot, bro. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, people definitely don't come to Drafted for actual hard-hitting analysis. No, that was amazing. I'm proud of you. This is tough, but for me, I have to go Aladdin. I said earlier that Colors of the Wind is the best Disney song. If it is not the best Disney song, then A Whole New World is. But I also just feel like every single song here hits. And that's not to say the songs in Hercules don't, but I just feel like at a different level. I mean, is there a more unique song than Never Had a Friend Like Me in the Disney soundtrack universe? Yeah, I mean, it's like Robin Williams is fantastic.
Prince
you
Ali.
have Arabian Nights. Prince Ali is another great one. The Street Rat one.
One Jump, yeah.
Yes, One Jump, thank you. So I just think for me, you know, from top to bottom, the Aladdin soundtrack takes the cake.
To real quick put the cherry back on what I was saying earlier. Imagine if Princess Jasmine had I Won't Say I'm in Love. Like,
that's fair. Yeah, I mean, she's a very one-dimensional character. Listen, I think the Aladdin movie is a worse movie than Hercules. But I think the soundtrack here takes it over Hercules, in my opinion.
Hercules, another movie where the music is used to draw you from one plot point to another. Like, literally twice in that movie, he's going through either physical or emotional, like, transformations in the middle of the song. It is literally used as a, like, abridged version. Yeah, a montage, really. So, yeah. But, like, I don't know that there's a lot that goes to waste in that soundtrack. Aladdin...
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Not as convinced.
I do think these are two nearly flawless soundtracks that are two of my absolute favorites. Probably both in my top 4, I would say. So it's a little harsh to have them here. But Aladdin, I think, is winning on like an absolute buzzer.
Yeah, but now Preston's making really good arguments.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me keep going. So when you think about 0 to hero, here's what you have to think about.
No, the votes have been tabulated, okay?
I'm staying with Aladdin.
Oh.
But,
okay, good.
But damn, that was a really good case. I also think there's something really appealing to me. We were just talking about how tight Mulan is. You know, there's just no wasted space. And I think that your argument about Hercules being similar, you know, there aren't really throwaway songs there. I wanted that matchup, but if I was looking at these, I still have to go Aladdin. And I think it's really Robin Williams. If it was any other actor, any other singer, heavy quotes, in that, it feels less unique to me. But I think just even the fact that Aladdin score, and they did do a live action remake, but even if they did one with those songs, you can't actually replace Robin Williams in that role.
Right.
Which I think
100%.
is, and they tried, and I think that's...
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be remaking any of these, but especially Aladdin for that reason.
More than we've talked a lot about, I think he's actually unique here. For most of these songs, we don't really talk about the singers, besides Angela Lansbury. We aren't talking about the performers for these songs. We're talking about the actual music itself. But I think with Robin Williams and Aladdin, the performer is so much of what makes that performance and makes that soundtrack. And I think that's very unique in Disney. And I think it's what brings Aladdin up into the semis.
On that note, Lea Salonga is going to come back up in some of these because she is in both Aladdin and Mulan. But I think there's a really interesting case you can make here if you're playing along at home, where you can draw one-to-one comparisons, where the I Want song for Aladdin is One Jump versus Go the Distance, where I think Go the Distance has the edge. The Friend song, Friend Like Me versus One Last Hope in Hercules, where I think Friend Like Me has the edge. You can go down the line and draw these thematic kind of, pieces of yarn across the way. So I'm still saying Hercules, but I understand, obviously, why Aladdin takes the cake.
Both missing a villain song? Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I was just thinking about that, actually. I was thinking about that earlier when we were talking about villain movies. And Hades, I feel like, is begging for a great villain song. I don't know if James Woods just like couldn't sing or what. But I feel like maybe a missed opportunity there a little bit, which maybe holds back the
Is Hades the only Disney villain where the actor actually turned out to be a villain in real life too?
No, I'm pretty sure Jeremy Irons is like a pretty big piece of shit.
Oh, is that true? Don't do this to me. No.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the voice of Scar. I'm not positive on that. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure he kind of.
There's going to be a spike in Google searches when listening to this podcast. Jeremy Irons asked me a question mark.
I'm gonna refuse to do that.
Yeah. I like I said, I can't remember the details, but I feel like I'm pretty sure that he is an asshole. But that brings us to our final four. And speaking of Jeremy Irons, let's go with the Lion King matchup first. This feels like it's going to be a cakewalk, right? I mean, Pocahontas, I feel like, is extremely fortunate to be here. It has not had a single unanimous vote yet. And it's going against the Lion King. I mean, Pocahontas has two great songs, but it's no competition for the Lion King, right?
I agree.
Okay, cool.
I agree.
Okay. In that case, we're moving on to Lion King to the final. Now let's find out who they're going to play. This is where it gets tough, okay? We've got Mulan versus Aladdin. Now I feel like I'll lead off because I feel like my vote is going to be pretty obvious based on how I voted in the previous round. I voted for The Little Mermaid over Mulan. So I am going to vote for Aladdin here as what should be the matchup for the Lion King in the final.
Mine kind of seems pretty obvious too, where I'm going to pick Mulan. I did not vote for Aladdin to make it this far. So
that's right. Okay. Well, then that makes Katie the decisive vote for the first time, right? Are we all have we all had a decisive vote now? Am I misremembering?
I was the decider the last time Mulan was on the chopping block with Mulan and Mermaid.
Right. Of course.
You're right. Little Mermaid.
Not just The Mermaid. That's the sequel.
Totally different movie, The Mermaid.
Big Mermaid. It's a big mermaid. Normal-sized mermaids.
Average mermaid.
That was the title that ended up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
I'm going to hold strong. I really had to go through a lot to get to this Mulan decision in the last round. And while I'm glad that Aladdin made it to where it did, I think that Mulan is a better soundtrack. This is the right
choice. This is the right choice for the final.
I think it's the better soundtrack.
I don't know.
Can I just say, Daniel, part of the reason we're doing this show is I think you came on to some brackets I was hosting early on in COVID. Where I just had a bunch of friends on and we would vote on stuff live on Twitch or something like that. We're not doing that anymore. It's very hard, so I stopped doing it. This was the same
They were
final.
Fun, though.
It might have been the same final four. Like,
Did we do Disney soundtrack bracket?
Well, no, this was just Disney movies. And this is what we got to.
Oh, okay.
And this is felt for me like the two things destined to meet that I don't know. Yeah, I guess we're about to get there.
Yeah. I will say I like this matchup better as a best Disney movie matchup than a best soundtrack movie matchup. I just voted against Mulan 2 rounds in a row, so I feel like that much is obvious. I know a lot of people would have Mulan here, so I'm not saying it doesn't belong here. Just personally, I wouldn't have it as my top two. But allow me to talk about the Lion King, because we've not been able to talk about the Lion King yet. Because it's been, a clean sweep. It's been a blowout every round to this point. And that's because it's a perfect soundtrack. every single song is perfect. Every single song is important to the storyline. We talked about how Can You Feel the Love Tonight won the Oscar for Best Original Song. It's like it's the 5th best song on the soundtrack. I mean, maybe that's crazy, but like Circle of Life, Hakuna Matata, Just Can't Wait to Be King, Be Prepared, all better songs.
I totally agree.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we all agree on that. And that's not to take anything away from Can You Feel the Love Tonight. I mean, it's a great song. Anything with Nathan Lane is fantastic. But like, just from top to bottom, I mean, the soundtrack is impeccable. Mm-hmm. Part of me feels like the reason that Tarzan brought in Phil Collins for their soundtrack was because Elton John helped make the soundtrack for The Lion King, and it was a perfect soundtrack. It's like, well, let's try to recreate that. And maybe that's part of, like I said, part of why I think Tarzan feels short, because it's so short of what Elton John was able to do. And Elton John, he did the smart thing. Like he doesn't sing in the songs. He just has the one like kind of not great cover of Can You Feel the Love Tonight. But man, and you want to talk about songs that like are all intrinsic to the plot. Like every single one drives the movie forward. I could do a whole TED Talk on this because I think it's the best movie soundtrack of all time, not just Disney soundtrack. But I'll let you guys do it if it's
so. To make this easier for me, so that my tiny brain can comprehend what's about to happen, is I'm going to encompass the score of both of these, which I remember pretty well because I listen to a lot of like film score stuff while I'm working or whatever. Hans Zimmer did the score for Lion King. This is the score that made people think Hans Zimmer was really good at music, and this is why he has a career. The rest of his stuff, very similar. I like it. I think it's good. He's kind of like the joke of people who think they're high-minded and pretentious about this kind of stuff, but like, I think he's good. But this is unbelievable. This is one of the best scores outside of the soundtrack of any movie. I mean, it's up there with other stuff he's done, if not the best thing he's done. It's up there with anything John Williams has done, to be honest. I mean, that Pride Rock climb is the best musical moment. That moment does not work without that music in the background. So I'm going to encompass the scores of these. And Mulan has a good score too. But their score is mostly used to develop themes that the characters sing. They bring reflection back a lot in the string section whenever Mulan is having to push herself or something like that. The score of Lion King exists on its own thing. It's almost another character singing a song. It is not using a theme musically from anything that's in any of the other songs that characters sing, whereas Mulan does. It's like bonus points. It's got extra stuff thrown in there, and for that, it just has to be it. There's so much in that movie that doesn't work if that score is bad, and it all just comes together.
Yeah.
I do think, and thank you for bringing up the Mulan score, as someone who is not as musically inclined, I think, as probably either of you. And again, thinking back, I don't do sports or drafting or brackets or
Why
music.
are you here?
Really, what am I doing here?
What are we doing?
Again,
You're
I have a lot
guest.
of opinions. I have a lot of opinions, and I'm paid to make decisions. It's my only talent. I do think that this is a fitting final matchup because Mulan does have actually some richer elements to the score, and of even our semifinalists, it's the one I can look at and picture moments in the movie where it's not a main character singing, and I can actually hear the music, which is pretty rare for me. But they do have some really strong musical sections. You would know the exact instruments, I'm sure, Preston, where they are building tension, and they use music really well to build tension and build the stakes, particularly around the Huns and all the drama building up to the climax in a way that's, I think, really impressive and unique among our top four. That said, I mean, I could make an argument for Mulan here, but I know it's The Lion King. I actually, going into this draft, tried to look at and develop some hot takes. I was like, can I take down The Lion King?
Hot take, like, Lion King, not good.
I'm going to do this. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do this. And I started to look through the soundtrack, and there just wasn't a weak link. I couldn't find a place to make an argument or even try to get a foothold of an argument in this soundtrack because it's just flawless. I mentioned earlier that Ursula's song in The Little Mermaid is in my top 2 villain songs. Be Prepared.
Number 1.
100% the number 1. It's actually one of my favorite songs from the movie.
Oh yeah,
I just think it's sassy, it's catchy, it's wonderful. Lion King is the king here, so to speak. It's a horrible pun, but I can't argue for Mulan. I'm proud that Mulan made it that far.
What I like about this final is these two in particular, based on all the other ones we've talked about, are filled with moments where characters are not speaking and music behind them is doing speaking for them. Again, if we're talking about score and not soundtrack, like they are constantly filled with moments of not script, like where the writers are giving over their trust to the people composing this music, and like that's what makes them better. Like they're slower paced a little bit because of that, you know. And Lion King in particular has so many moments where they're just like, he could walk up that Pride Rock with like 3 steps, but it's like, just take your sweet time here and just drink it all in. Oh, I'm just gonna go watch this movie now. It's so good.
Yeah, do it. For me, it's This Land, I think, is the name of the song. When
yes,
when Cloud Mufasa is talking with Simba, and that might be the most beautiful piece of music in the whole movie. Like even in comparison to the lyrical, the lyrical songs. So I also wanted to talk about though, like the cinematics of each song. You know, for most Disney songs, I feel pretty content to just listen to them on Spotify or whatever. But like when I really want to listen to the Disney songs, I want to watch them, like because they're beautiful. I mean, like Hakuna Matata in particular, all of like the images of the paradise world they live in are fucking gorgeous. And really, just like every single song in the whole movie is just perfectly put together.
Hot news alert! Lion King. Wow, very good. Turns out.
Yeah, not bad. It's not a bad film. Okay, so I think we've rightfully crowned The Lion King as number 1. And I want to ask you guys a question. Just one question this week. What Disney movie soundtrack would you have liked to have seen be in the bracket that didn't make it based on our BuzzFeed seedings?
I grew up watching Oliver and Company. It's kind of a cool style. It incorporates a lot of like street noise stuff. It's very cool, but it kind of makes sense to me that it's not in the top 16. The other one is just, I would have replaced Frozen with Frozen 2, probably. And I don't know that would have changed how that particular matchup went or anything like that, but like, I think Frozen 2 is just kind of better.
I think I would have included The Jungle Book, probably, instead of... I mean, it makes sense why Pinocchio is in here, but I think The Jungle Book had every right to also be a contender, almost entirely because of the bare necessities. Though there are other good songs in that soundtrack, but I think that's one that I probably would have put into a top 16 bracket.
Yeah, I think that was the one that I was most surprised to see not make it, because I do feel, I mean, Bare Necessities is an all-timer. Another one that I would have liked to have seen, we talked about Dumbo. I think Dumbo has some really cool songs, some very unique songs. We talked about like the unique appeal, like Pink Elephants is a song like unlike any other Disney song. Really, it's pretty wacky. I also thought like if they were gonna have some of these older songs, and I was a little surprised to have Snow White not make it, because like Hi Ho is pretty catchy. Someday My Prince Will Come. Like these are two like kind of ironically songs more in the like nature of what we think of when we think of like these classic Disney soundtracks, unlike some of the older stuff that didn't quite translate the same way.
So this doesn't belong here, and I know that before anybody complains. But I would have been interested to see how Mary Poppins would have done seated anywhere in here, because Mary Poppins has a lot of great stuff.
For sure.
And it clearly doesn't belong, but maybe in a bigger list when you're encompassing more stuff besides just animated or strictly animated, then it would squeeze in there.
Yeah, I think when you first pitched this idea to me, I took a very broad Disney lens that had a much bigger range of movies in it. And so I was prepared to talk about Mary Poppins, potentially High School Musical, technically a Disney movie.
Huh.
Parent Trap, technically a Disney movie. And so, the circus tent starts to get bigger and bigger, and I was worried that was going to be a much tougher conversation. Frankly, I think we still would have ended up at The Lion King.
Yeah, I agree. It would have changed the bracket, though, I think.
And you add in all of the recent post-Pixar acquisition movies as well, and then you're getting Coco.
Coco, yeah. Oh, so good.
So I like our scope, but it would have been trickier had we expanded.
Would anybody have paid any
sure.
mind to Enchanted if Enchanted was thrown in here? Daniel, Daniel, you're an Enchanted fan, I think, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, love Enchanted. I mean, I'm in love with Amy Adams, so.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, Enchanted's great. And Mary Poppins, I totally agree, would go very, very far. So would Coco.
Yes.
I still think Lion King, though, is probably going to
Listen, for me, if you take the Lion King and you add in frickin' Shawshank Redemption, I'm still probably taking the Lion King. Like insert other movie here for any judgment of ever. Like which has the best actors do whatever, doesn't matter. It's still probably going to be the Lion King. Like we all knew this was happening, and you listened anyways. So you're the real suckers, people at home.
Well, the rest of the bracket was an interesting thing. And it wasn't a clean sweep. I do think there are people who would not vote for the Lion King #1. If you do, please hit us up on Twitter and all the usual spots.
Post it in the Discord. Post it in the Discord. Come at us, baby. Come at me.
Yes. Please post the Discord. We very much want more people to come in there. People love talking about the show. Like, you're always texting us about the show. Come in the Discord and join more people in discussing it. It's a lot of fun. But that wraps us up for this week. Katie, thank you so much for joining us. It is always a pleasure to have you.
I had an absolute blast. I actually think I learned a couple things about music from this podcast. I was not expecting. I feel better about the music I like, but not because of anything I did.
That's good.
Just from things I learned. So I feel smarter and still like I'm in the right. It's an excellent outcome for a podcast, especially for Drafted.
The best of both worlds.
If you can leave feeling better about yourself, that's a rare Drafted opportunity. At least for me.
Yeah, that's pretty rare for everyone but Katie. Even when Katie doesn't win the vote, she wins Drafted. Yes. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next week with guest Keith Rayner. We're still not sure what we're going to draft yet, so maybe help us decide in Discord. Yet another reason to come join the Discord. But even if you don't join, we will talk to you again next week.